Am I a bad person for refusing to homeschool my relatives' children? I'm a homeschool parent in my mid 30s. My husband and I started homeschooling our children aged 10 and 12 5 years ago, and it has been an incredible experience. When we first started considering homeschooling, we were a little apprehensive. We heard so many things about it, but we also knew that we wanted to be more involved in our children's education. We wanted to create more personalized learning environment for them. We spent a lot of time researching and talking to other homeschooling parents. We finally decided to take the plunge. We enrolled our children in an online homeschooling program, and we haven't looked back since. One of the things we love about homeschooling is the flexibility it offers. We don't have to follow a strict schedule, and we can adjust our lessons to fit our children's needs. We usually start our day with a morning meeting where we discuss our goals for the day and review any assignments that need to be completed. Then we move on to our core subjects like math, science, and language arts. We take a break for lunch and some outdoor playtime, and then we finish up our lessons for the day. We also like to incorporate field trips and other hands on activities into our learning whenever possible. We're able to be quite spontaneous. Choosing the right curriculum was a big decision for us. We wanted something that would challenge our children, but also allow them to work at their own pace. In the beginning, family members have questioned us a lot about socialization. It seems everyone was concerned about this, but we found that homeschooling has actually given our children more opportunities to socialize with other kids. We participate in homeschooling co ops and other groups where our children can interact with other homeschoolers. We also make sure to schedule play dates and other social activities throughout the week. The family finally saw this for themselves and they let the issue drop. But then came the problem. So, homeschooling has been an incredible journey for our little family of four. It has allowed us to create a personalized learning environment for our children and has given us the flexibility to tailor our lessons to their needs and interests. We travel, we take days off. We can homeschool when we are feeling a little sick, or we can take the week off if we are really sick. However, my sister asked me to homeschool her daughter, age 14, alongside my children. My sister lives nearby, and we have always been close. She reached out to me and asked if I would be willing to homeschool her daughter as well. She is willing to pay me, and the extra money would be nice, but I don't want to do it, and I'm feeling guilty about it. My sister has been unhappy with the public school system for a while now. Her daughter is doing poorly in school, and she thinks it is because the curriculum is too rigid and her daughter isn't getting the attention she needs. There's a pattern of her moving her child back and forth between private schools and public schools with the same results. But Sis strongly feels that the schools are at fault. She's been considering homeschooling her daughter, but she works over 50 hours a week. She is a single parent, and she believes that as an aunt, she should be able to drop off her child to homeschool with mine. So while I appreciate my sister's confidence in me, I have some concerns about homeschooling my niece. First of all, I am already homeschooling two children with completely different needs, completely different interests, and learning completely different things 75% of the time. I am not sure if I could handle a third child who would most likely have completely different requirements than her cousins. Also, I don't feel comfortable making such personal recommendations for a child that is not mine. Secondly, I don't think homeschooling is the best option for my niece. She is a social butterfly, and honestly, in my assessment, difficult at school. She doesn't do homework. She gets poor grades. She's always in some kind of altercation with another student. And I'm afraid that introducing a poor work ethic to my home from someone my kids look up to would be throwing a wrench into our own homeschooling experience. Third, I'm worried that homeschooling her might negatively impact my relationship with my sister, who, if she were to pay me for my work, would become my boss and affect the personal decisions I am making in my home for my own children. Fourth, homeschooling can be challenging, and if this arrangement does not work, it could create tension between us. Finally, I'm not sure if homeschooling is the best option for her child. Every child is different, and what works for my children may not work for hers. To make matters worse, my niece is not interested in homeschooling. Even though she does not do well in school, she loves her current school and is very unhappy about the idea of being ripped apart from her social environment. So I explained my concerns to my sister, but she got angry and accused me of not caring for her daughter's education. She said that I was selfish for not wanting to help out and that I was putting my niece's education in jeopardy. I tried to explain homeschooling is as much about the parent child relationship as it is about education, and the parent is the best person to homeschool their child. I offered to help her examine curriculum, to find online programs and a homeschool co op or hybrid school, part time private school for homeschoolers that might work for her child. I told her that because her child was older, that she could do her homework on her own during the day and sis could instruct her in the evening after work. I even offered to have her at our house on Fridays, as this is a day that we usually do field trips, but she wasn't having it. She wanted me to take the parent role in homeschooling. She wants to drop her off at 8 every morning and pick her up at 7 p.m. I said no. I said no, that it would change everything about the way I homeschool and it would be disruptive to my family. And now our relationship is strained. So, am I the bad person for refusing to homeschool my niece? I feel guilty for not helping out, but I don't think it's fair for my sister to push all of her responsibility onto me. I also don't want to do something that would make my niece and my own kids miserable. So here's what I think. I have been in a similar situation and I've written down my notes, so my gaze is about to be a little bit off because I don't want to talk in a circle. So, um, with being asked to homeschool someone else's kids, I ended up with two family members who stopped speaking because I said no. Ended up with a family member who is still not speaking 10 years later. However, I am still close to the child because the time I spent relationship building with them, which was special for them, even though homeschooling did not work out. A relative who homeschools needs to have full control of it, or it won't work. This means legal guardianship. The law is that the parent or legal guardian is the homeschooling parent. But don't let me get off course. In most states, that is the law. And others can be the child's tutor. In this case, the amount of time involvement requested would surely involve some legal paperwork. It is difficult to undo the bad habits of a teenager. If you push too hard or if you are too strict, you are making enemies of the parent and the child. A bad work ethic has never been fixed by homeschooling. Also, homeschooling should never be used as a punishment for doing poorly in school. A teenager resistant to public school is also going to be resistant to homeschooling and is not going to thrive in that environment. Taking extra people into your home will disrupt your homeschooling environment. Instead, it creates a private school environment. That doesn't mean it's bad, but it means that the family loses all spontaneity because they are now responsible for additional family members who will expect a school-like experience for their child. At the end of the day, the parent-child dynamic is the most important aspect of homeschooling. Where it went wrong for me is that I agreed to homeschool my nephew after my kids had graduated, so I wasn't disrupting our environment. And me and the teenager became so close that the parent got jealous. In the end, I was punished for doing too good a job. I was accused of trying to parent, and the mom didn't like that. So at the end of the day, regardless of whether you say yes or whether you say no, I don't think you can win either way.